We are happy to be here with bass player Nate Watts. Nate, how are you today,
How
brother?
are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm
Good,
good.
good.
Listen, as we talk a little bit about music today, I want to talk about your career. I want to talk about your life and your passion for art. I'd like to talk about the artists that you've worked with, which include Stevie Wonder, the Pointer Sisters, and so many more. So talk to me a little bit about your career and how you started as a musician.
Well, I've always been a musician from school. Played trumpet in school. Then after I stopped playing trumpet, and after high school, friends said you should pick up a bass. We could be like Hendrix, be a trio. And that friend was Ray Parker. And we all grew up together. So I picked up the bass, and they left me. So played with a local group, and I got a chance to local group, the Final Decisions in Detroit. We went to number one. Went to number one by pushing our own records and locally. And we worked that for a year, and then about '74, I got a call for the audition for Steve. Went down to Tennessee for the Push convention, and I went back to LA and auditioned against other bass players, and I got it. And I've been blessed, man. I've been very lucky to do a career to have a career like this.
You're one of the only artists that I know of in the industry that's been on retainer with a major artist for so many years. You've been with Stevie Wonder for, what, 30 years now? 30 plus
30
years?
plus.
That's a special thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. When we got together, he had lost another bass player before me, and the people was leaving. He said, "Man," I said, "Man, I'll stick by your side. I got my word. I'll be here." And so I think it's for life.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah. You grew up in Detroit. Tell me what that experience was like being...
During Detroit. When I grew up, I thank God now that I was blessed because I just left there. I went back there, and it's in bad shape right now economically. And when we grew up, we had a very, we used to think it was the ghetto, but we were very fortunate. We were very fortunate. Everybody in Detroit during that time had their own car. Most people owned houses. Detroit was known to have more single-family homes than anywhere else in the country. That's because of the factories. But once the economic thing changed, the factories left, Detroit changed. But I was very lucky. We had the YMCA, we had baseball, we had football, we had the boys club. You know what I mean? We went on picnics, we played baseball in the park, football in the park and stuff. So now a lot of stuff like that's not there. But I hope Detroit comes back. 'Cause I'm very fortunate to be raised in Detroit during the times like those.
I think about Detroit as we get to the 50th anniversary of Motown and how important Detroit was as a musical center, not just for black music or soul music, but music in general. What was the music that you were listening to as you grew up?
Well, I listened to Motown. Believe it or not, I listened to rock and roll, Steppenwolf. I used to go. Matter of fact, when I was growing up, we had a rock club in the heart of the ghetto called the Grandy Ballroom. I used to go there when I was 14, 15, sneak in, stuff like that. So Mahogany Rush, and I listened to jazz. When I first started playing, I played with a big band. So my genre of music, I listen to everything. I love everything. But basically Motown, a lot of Motown, because you couldn't live in Detroit without listening to Motown,
Were you influenced by those bass players
Oh,
coming out of
James
Motown?
Jamerson.
James
Jamerson. That was my dad. I called him Dad. He used to call me son. Influenced very much by his style. And finally, I did the book, and then we did the, I was in the Stand in Shadows movie, the documentary.
Yes.
I did a little cameo on that.
Yes.
Just to, give praise to James. James was incredible. Jamerson was incredible bass player.
What is it that makes the bass the instrument of choice for you?
Well, it's kind of like a selfish instrument to me. I mean,
How so?
mostly all our bands only have one bass player. You might have two drummers, you might have two guitars, you might have two keyboards, more horns or whatever. But it's
Job
just,
security.
It's job security. It's only, and plus, I mean, to me, the transition from trumpet to bass was very easy. Most cats who play trumpet, I can name Brian Miller, Alan McGreer. I think Reggie did too. There's so many guys who played horn before they played bass.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's a single note instrument, so it translates to that. Trumpet is, so I guess it's this a thing of single note improvisation. That's what I think it is.
What makes a bass player have a unique sound? Jamerson had a very, very unique, thick sound.
Right.
What is that?
Well, usually when Jameson was playing, he played with flat round string. That made it real thick and real thick and fat sounding. Most cats now use round like I do. And then technique, Jameson only played one finger. He was a phenomenal one. It's amazing that you could think all the lines he played and the complications he played with one finger.
Wow.
Yeah.
We traditionally think of a bass player playing
with two.
With two.
With two,
Right.
yeah. He only did it all with one finger. I don't know how he did it, but he did it.
Wow.
I tried. No. I played with three, actually.
Right. Right. I know one of the other bass players that influenced you was Paul McCartney also.
Well, no, I played on his album. I played on Say 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 with him and Michael Jackson.
Right, right.
And, I played on that song. Actually, I owe a lot to Michael, man. Michael helped my career so much, and, I really miss him.
Talk to me about your relationship with Michael Jackson and how he influenced you.
Well, I played on both Jackson's albums, The Triumph and Destiny. And he influenced me. I mean, he would come by, and when he first got his license, he came by to pick me up when he was 17 years old in a Rolls Royce. And he said, "Come on, man, we're going to the studio. Come on, we're coming late." He came to my house. That's how good a person he was,
Wow.
And I did some stuff up at Neverland with him, with Brad Buxer, and he's never changed. He's always, it was a very good influence. He did a lot for me, man. He really helped my career a lot.
We were talking about sounds and how bass players create their own individual sound. How would you describe the Nate Watt sound?
I would describe it mostly as a blending of a lot of different bass players with my own touch, done my way. My sound is kind of like raw. In the first place, I tune a half step down, so it makes it different than anyone else who's playing, because the half step gives the strings more flexibility and it gives it another looseness. It's a very loose, fat sound.
Now, do you play with your strings close to the fret?
No, I play them with relatively high.
Okay.
Relatively high. I mean, not too high, but it's relatively higher than most players. Most bass players come and say, "Man, why are your strings so high?" Yeah, I say, that's the way I play. I play hard. I play hard and I play aggressive. That's what I try to do, at least.
Talk to me about your bass. What kind of bass do you play?
Well, right now I'm using this Capolo. I use the Bosses on the road, and I still have my Fenders, but they're put away. I don't use them on the recordings only. But usually on the road, I'm using this bass here. It's Capolo. It's a custom-made bass out of New York, guy out of New York, Jimmy, and he just moved here to LA, so he's got a shop somewhere here in LA now. But when I first heard it, and I said, "Oh man, that's a sweet sound." It's one of the best recording basses I've got, besides the Fenders,
Now, what is it that makes that bass sound the way it is? Is it the wood?
It's the wood, it's the strings, and it's my fingers. That's exactly what it is. But I mean, it's got good components in it, and the Boston's got great components. My other bass I use Boston. It's a Japanese bass, and the guy who owns the company made it for me, and it's really good. Plus, I got Yamahas. I got all kinds. I got so many different basses.
How many basses do you have, Nate?
I don't know.
Too many to count.
Well, it's just like I think it's about 12 or something. I leave one with my family for every city. Leave one in every city, for my family. So in case I come in, I want to go jam. I have somewhere to jam. That's Atlanta, Detroit, Alabama. How to go.
And then you play through Hartke amps.
I use Hartke. Hartke is by Dorsey. They're great bass amps. I helped was on part of the designing committee for the paper cone design, and that's what I'm using now. That's half paper, half cone, aluminum. I think it's aluminum, but the sound is great for me. It works for me perfect with the 900, with the new head. It's giving me warmth and projects. It's a good sound. Thank you, Hartke. Thank you, Hartke.
Plug Hartke.
Love you, Hartke.
Let's talk about a little bit more about your past, and then we'll come back to the present now. You, aside from being a trumpeter when you first started, you mentioned some names that people, I'm sure, will remember. You mentioned Ray Parker.
Me and Ray Parker, we grew up, man. That's my oldest friend. We grew up in Detroit, 5 houses away from each other. So, I mean, I used to come down to his house. His mother used to babysit me, and then vice versa, because our parents worked every, Ray's mother didn't have to work as much as mine. My mother worked day work.